Wow, I'm exhausted. Really, wow, just amazing. And oddly emotional. Do you feel like that? It's like, well, start with my question here. How do you even contemplate the infinite, unlimited? And I actually want you to. How do you rationalize, contemplate, think about, understand, embody this idea of the infinite? We talk about it a lot. We say the infinite abundance of the universe, the infinite life that is God is what I am. We talk about being the entire ocean in a drop. We talk about these things, but how do you embody it? Where do you go with that? Can you really contemplate? Can you really imagine the infinite? It's kind of hard when you're in this body, when you're in a single body. And most of our problems come from the fact that we negotiate and navigate life from the concept that I am contained within this thing called James Mellon. That's most of the world's problems. James Mellon. But think about it. That's what most of our issues are, that we contemplate life from a container, from a limited understanding. And yet science of mind comes along, and that's why I think we're just scratching the surface of what we're about to do and how we're about to explode onto this planet. Because there is that in us that wants us to know it as the unlimited brilliance of the universe. So I knew coming into this tonight that I was going to be asking a question that I can't answer. And I was going to be posing a concept that's almost impossible to pose because I can't think of the infinite. I think if I did, I would disappear. I would just be absorbed into it. I had lunch this week with Nadine Risha. How many of you know who Nadine Risha is? She's an amazing singer. I mean, I put her on the scale of a Barbra Streisand, the way she uses her voice. And we had this amazing lunch. And she studies ancient wisdom in Egypt with a teacher. And she was explaining oneness, and all of a sudden I got it. I was like, oh, you not only explain oneness, you actually live it, which is why she seems so ethereal to me so much of the time. And you're going to see her soon. She's singing as well in January. So this understanding is not something that we just have to understand. We actually can live it. But oh my, what does it take to walk through this universe? Really understanding that I am one with all of it. All of it. There's no separation. There can be no distance between us. I am one with all of it. So the title of my talk today is appropriately Pouring Down Like Rain. Now, Margaret talked about her birch tree. And y'all know I have an oak tree in my backyard. If you don't know, now you do. And most of you know if you were at Christmas caroling because the oak tree was on display. So it's a 300-year-old oak tree, and it is ginormous. And think about that, 300 years, that oak tree's been there. And I think I own it, yeah. So all of its branches are extending over the backyard behind us, the 2 yards next to us, and all over our entire property. But this year was its tree trimming. And I hate when they cut my trees. I really have a very hard time. If the city comes, I'm apoplectic. Because, watching DWP go into your trees is like nothing you've ever experienced. And I usually ward them off and don't answer the door and don't let them do my trees. But this year, because it was being done by our arborist, we also let them come in first to cut it away from the high wire. I tell you this because of what I'm about to tell you. I wasn't paying attention when the DWP came in. And because the tree was so full, I hadn't noticed what they had done. But they really chopped the heaven out of that tree. And when our arborist came in and looked at it and pointed out to us what had happened, I was so sad. And then our arborist, who was cutting it back a bit just to cut what it was cutting, and all of a sudden, when the tree was done being cut, I looked up and I thought it was going to die. This 300-year-old oak tree that has made it through everything was going to die on my watch because I wasn't paying attention. Now, that was kind of ludicrous if you really think about it. But I had this fear. I was worried for the oak tree. In fact, about 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, I went and sat under it, and I'm looking up, and I'm just trying to see if the leaves are shrinking or expanding. And I'm really looking at it, and I'm like, it looks like they're all starting to shrivel. I thought, what would happen if this tree died? Is it even possible for this tree to die? But I was in worry mode. Now, most of you that have taken CPR know that I already had this experience with a ficus. So now I'm dealing with it with my 300-year-old oak tree. And I suddenly just took a deep breath, and I was like, do I believe that all of my worry is going to help this oak tree as I'm sitting under it, pouring it with my, watering it with my worry? And I realized that it absolutely was not. Worry is a completely useless energy. And that's what Margaret's song is all about. And this whole season of giving and receiving, this whole concept of understanding life as a momentous, as a continuous understanding of giving, how could this tree have died? And if it did, it lived 300 years and then found its perfect moment to be done. That's what I believe. I don't believe that I have to get all worried and crazy, and yet I'll take the steps necessary. I did water it a lot after that. So when I listened to Margaret's song, now you can understand why as soon as I heard the song, and I was like sobbing. I'm sitting at my desk, and all of a sudden here, the birch tree outside looked like it was dying. I was like, oh, she knows my heart. And then the whole idea of, and then it comes raining out of the sky, because that's how it works. The universe always provides. So I don't know how many of you deal with worry. Is there anybody here who worries a little bit? Yeah. Most people worry a little bit. Actually, some people worry a little bit. Most people worry a lot. Really. And why do we do that? Well, I think we've been brought up to believe that worry accomplishes things. My family used to say to me, and I know I've said this before, my family used to say to me, if you're not worrying about it, you're not doing anything about it. Really. They're all gone now. I can say these things. Except the worriers. Some of them are still here. But I went into life that way. I believed that. Worry meant I was doing something. There are a lot of things many of us could be worried about today. I can think of tomorrow, for example. Some things that we might start being worried about that may happen after tomorrow, if you read my meaning. But we can't afford to worry. We must move from worry to doing what it is we need to be doing to alleviate whatever it is we think we're worrying about. So, Ernest Holmes said this: we must heal ourselves from worry. Faith must overcome fear, and strong statements of faith must be used to overcome any worries that continually assail us. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is think to yourself, what do you usually get worried about? Where does worry usually show up for you? Do you usually worry about money? Is that an issue? It is for a lot of people. Do you worry about being taken for granted? Do you worry about getting old? Do you worry about your health? Where can you locate worry in your mind? So Ernest Holmes says we must heal ourselves from worry. And later on in that chapter, he actually says the only way you can heal yourself from worry is by knowing who you are. Remember who you are. Because if you know who you are, and that's what Margaret's song is all about, if you know who you are and you know that it will always pour down on you, your good is there for you to literally be drenched in. And I don't know how you sing with some of the body movements you do. That was just, I love how your whole body sings a song. But you know what? Our whole body, meaning the body of our life, needs to live our lives. We are not just contained right here. There is an amazing energy that we are. So if this pouring down of good and love, and pouring not only down, but pouring up from within, if that pouring is really what's going on at all times, what are we worried about? It's because we have somehow forgotten who we are. And we've forgotten the whole concept of what this world is, what this life is. So he also says this: we need not worry how things are coming out. The law takes care of everything and returns to each exactly what is his due. Now, here's the rub with that. Most people worry about what they've just created with their mind. If you're using your mind in a way that when someone like me says to you, just look at your life, you'll know the way you've been thinking, then you immediately go into worry mode over, oh my God, what have I been thinking? What am I equal to? If I'm equal to this, oh my God, how will I change that? It doesn't work that black and white. The mind is a very, very intricate thing, and it is very, very specific in terms of knowing that it always just gives you what you are the most thinking about. Where's your mind most going? Where's the percentage of your mind? As it's been said before, where 51% of your mind goes, there goes your life. So it's not like every single thing you think. You think suddenly you're being angry at someone, and it's like, I just ruined my entire life because I used my mind that way. That's not how it works. But it does work this way. What do you think of mostly? What's the temperament of your life? What is your overall attitude about life? Attitude. Reverend Sharon Kelly did a beautiful thing on attitude this week in class. How do you treat things? What attitude do you have about life? So that's what he's saying here. You don't have to worry about how things are coming out because the law is always going to have it come out exactly the way you direct it to. So when we're in this beautiful season of Christmas, and I went shopping. I don't necessarily like shopping at Christmas time, but I went shopping yesterday, and I went to Bloomingdale's. And I went to Macy's. And I even got into a line when I went shopping to buy for Kevin. And see that? I thought about that. So I'm shopping for Kevin, and I'm getting in line, and it's a long line. And I thought, I have two choices here. I can get in this line and spend the whole time in the line going, unbelievable, this is why I don't like going shopping. Or I can get in line and start doing what I've been doing all week, which is leaving every person I see with some gift. So I did. I got in line, I talked to this person, I talked to that person, and the line just moved along, and it was beautiful. Different, doing something different. Taking what we've been asked to do this month and seeing the world through the eyes of a child, seeing the world in a new way, seeing even shopping in a new way. So I am equal to whatever shows up in my life, and whatever shows up in my life, I am equal to. So this holiday season is a great opportunity for us to really be equal to enjoying this holiday season. And it really does come just from you saying, you know what? I'm going to decide to enjoy this holiday season. Now, back to my oak tree. My oak tree is totally fine. Just this morning, as I was sitting under it and thinking about what I was doing today and what I wanted to talk about, and I knew it was going to be a major star in this talk, I looked up and I saw that not only had it started to grow, but it was so beautiful. The colors of its leaves were just so beautiful. And I noticed the shape of it, the new shape that the arborist gave it. That is so beautiful. And I thought, all the time I was worrying, imagine what I could have been doing if I wasn't worrying that somehow the oak tree was having trouble. And recognizing that there's something within that oak tree that always, always brings it to its perfect fulfillment. Now that's true for all of us, about ourselves, about our family, about our friends. If we have friends that are in trouble or children that are having issues, we have to understand that there is something in them that will guide them, that is always protecting them, always moving them forward. You know what? That's the greatest gift you can give anyone this Christmas. Using your consciousness in such a way that it blesses everyone and doesn't detract from anyone or anything. So this year we started our theme this year. It was funny. Someone asked me this morning about the theme this year, and I said, we didn't have a theme this year. I was like, we had a theme this year. We have a theme this year. Does anybody know what it is? And not the person that asked me this morning. Eric? That was the motto. So the motto was time to be seen in 2016. Did y'all know that? Okay. How many of you were seen this year? Okay. Okay. So I know many of you decided, we said it's time to be seen in 2016, so you did some things a little differently, didn't you? You stood up, you got up, you let the world see you. Time to be seen in 2016. That wasn't our theme. That was our motto. Our theme was, anybody? No. Live It Up was one of the month's talks. One of the month's themes. Anybody? Okay, so next year, every single service, I am going to say what our theme is. We will never be able to get away from it. So, but it's a simpler one. This is what our theme was this year. I live my greatness on demand. You're all like, what? Meaning, I live my God. I live as God. I live this thing that I say I am. I actually live it in every area of my life. So I live my greatness on demand. Why don't we all say that? I live my greatness on demand. You have 13 days left to be living your greatness on demand. So that was the theme. I live my greatness on demand. And my motto was time to be seen in 2016. So you know how well you did. But here's the thing. When you set those things up, that's literally a calling all cars. I attract everything to me when I make an absolute intention to live that. Now, going into 2017, we are going to move into 2017. Do I even want to tell you what it is in 2017? No, I want you to focus on 2016 since many of you seem to need to do that. Now, please tell me you do know what this month's theme is. Yeah, you just sang the song. I hoped you knew it. With childlike wonder. Let's all say that. With childlike wonder. So now let me put them together. You ready? I live my truth. I live my greatness on demand. And it's time to be seen in 2016 with childlike wonder. So if you put all that together, all it means is when you get in touch with the authentic truth of who you are, when you get in touch with that childlike wonder, when you get in touch with that thing in you that I started at the beginning of this talk, when you get in touch with the unlimited divine resource that is all of life, all of you, all of me, when you get in touch with that and you live from that and then you choose to be seen, meaning you choose to let the world know who you are. For some people, that's making a movie. For some people, that's writing a song. For some people, that's singing out Louise. For some people, it's going back to school and learning something that they've been always so excited. For some people, it's going to India and coming right back. It doesn't matter what it is. But you've decided, I'm going to live my godness, and I'm going to be seen doing exactly what it is I am here to do. And now, I'm going to do it with childlike wonder because I'm not going to let myself have preconceived ideas about everything it should be based on everything I've told myself, everybody has told me, all the things that have happened, that have proven it to me. That is a very scientific word. So I live my greatness on demand, and I've recognized that it is time to be seen, but from an honest, from a truth that is uncompromising. That's what this year has been about. And it certainly has been about that for many people as I've seen them move through this year. And it certainly has been about that for me. And so as we move into a new year, I really want you to take stock of what you have done with your mind, with your consciousness. And I really want you to take some time over this. What do we have, 18 days left? What did I say? Today's the 18th, 28th, 29th, 13 days left. 13 days before New Year's Eve, which you know everybody on New Year's Eve does the whole resolutions and the whole, oh, here's what I want to do next year. It's so easy to say, here's what I want to do next year. But you know what? You've got today that's still begging you to live it. You've got tomorrow that will still be begging you to live it. I don't think we should put off anything. Because guess what? There is a divine energy. There is a creative impulse. There is something knocking at your door that is asking you, begging you to pay attention, to hear it. There is something in you that is ready to fulfill every single one of your desires, to fulfill everything you have called forth for yourself, and to allow yourself to know it, to see it, to do it, to experience it, to express it without any of this. Just from a truth of knowing who you are. And it's asking you to do it now. It's asking you to do it right here, right now, right in this moment. And I love these last 2 weeks of the year because things slow down. People shut down their jobs and their minds, and people start to relax. They start to allow themselves some space and some time. So you have time. And if you don't, then take a look at why you don't. You should be giving yourself the opportunity to really assess, really find out, how have I used my mind this year? How do I want to use it today? And know that what you can change about your life, who you can become, who you can be done now, in this moment. Because next year is from the next moment on. That's time. That's the way it works. And love is pouring down like rain. Creativity is pouring down like rain. Opportunity is pouring down like rain. Health and vibrancy is pouring down like rain. It's all pouring down, pouring forth, coming from within. And it is time for each and every one of us to live it, to really live it. In order to live it, you got to believe it. You got to believe that this is the truth of your being. This is who you really are. This is the way life really, truly works. So what I know for all of us is that as we go through this holiday season, we take the opportunity to not only know who we are, but to use our minds on purpose, for purpose, and the purpose being to experience this infinite life force, and then just pour it out on everyone and everything around us. Because if there's anything I've learned about a rainstorm and about the water pouring down, it's that when I get totally drenched, there's just this lack of self-consciousness where you just give in. You ever have that happen? Where you just ever get caught in a rainstorm, and first you're trying to stay dry. First you're trying to get into a cupboard or get into a doorway. You're trying to stay dry, and then all of a sudden it's just like, ugh, whatever, and you just give up. You just give it over. When I did Singing in the Rain, because I can't end this without a Broadway reference, when I did Singing in the Rain and I got wet the first time, I will never forget being on the stage of the Schubert Theater in Detroit, which is where I opened, and in a sweatsuit that was like, I looked like, the sweatsuit was so baggy, I was shocked that I wasn't like naked by the time I was done, it'd all fall off. But I remember just standing on that stage when the number was over and the umbrella was, and I was done, and it was still pouring rain, and the curtain was coming in, and it was a little bit of heaven in that moment, to feel that water, to feel completely drenched in what I love to do, to feel completely drenched in what I have just done, and to know that I am, in that show, that I'm ready to now take all of it off and start Act 2. So here's your opportunity. Act 2 is going to start the minute you decide to just let it go and start over. And that's our gift. Namaste.